The other history that I want to draw attention to that I think is very important, and I always keep saying it's important, I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't think it was important, so sorry, is that Lisa Blackman's work on the constitution of the European. This isn't a colonialist who goes out and finds people who are strange. This is a colonialist, this is the European at home. And again, lots of historical writings about how the European bourgeoisie, as it comes into effect, defines itself against the mass. And it does this by claiming interiority. It does this by using the science of psychology. And there's some great stuff by Fist, he's called. I'm trying to think of all the references. There's a lot, again, I've written about this elsewhere, but there's lots and lots of history of ideas around psychology that show that the mass had to be constituted as a mass. They weren't talked about as the working class or women or whatever or race. They were just talked about the mass, and the mass was that which could not have the rationality, the reflexivity and the interiority that was necessary for property ownership. So psychology became incredibly important to legitimating who could be a good subject and a proper person. These trajectories come together and they pull into the present, and we can see them in a lot of, as I'll show in a lot of our current theories. The other thing, which has a very long history and it kind of fits, but it just pulls it all together, is the idea of the fit and proper person. And you may have seen this when the FA was disputing who could own a football club recently. But interestingly, the legal idea of the fit and proper person comes from the 17th century law, which is brought in the 18th century to a man called Lascelles, who was the biggest British slaveholder. You can find there's a whole archive dedicated to him, and there was an assessment made in British law about could he be a fit and proper person in order to own slaves. So every time you see that concept being, used in the media about who can own football clubs, think about its history.